Now, young fellas, you've been having a lot of fun around here today, haven't you? Camping in the great outdoors, swimming and hiking. And you know what makes this all possible? This forest around us. Same forest that gives us timber for our homes, pure water to drink, wildlife to hunt, and to take pictures of. We should all be thankful for our forests. Now, I'm going to sing a song about someone who lives in the forest all the time and loves it the way we do. First, Pierre, come over here. Yes, Pierre is going to help me out with my song. Ready, Pierre? And now for my song. It's called Smokey the Bear. With the ranger's hat and shovel and a pair of dungarees, you will find him in the forest always sniffing at the breeze. People stop and pay attention when he tells them to beware, 'cause everybody knows that he's the fire-preventing bear. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name. You can take a tip from Smokey that there's nothing like a tree, 'cause they're good for kids to climb in and they're beautiful to see. You just have to look around you and you'll find it's not a joke to see what you'd be missing if they all went up in smoke. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name. If you've ever seen the forest when a fire is running wild, and you love the things within it like a mother loves her child, then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through, remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name. Well, that's it, young fellas. Smokey the Bear, my friend and yours. But he needs our help, Smokey does. Your help and mine to keep our forest green and growing. So let's always remember and ask Pop and Mom to remember, too, what Smokey said. Remember, only we, you and I, can prevent forest fires. Now let's all sing the song. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name.
I'm Carol Bretz, and this is my husband Don Bretz, and we've been Smokey collectors for about 17 years.
I started collecting Smokey Bear when I worked in a dispatch center, and lots of people came through there, lots of traffic. People brought me stuff, I traded stuff, I bought stuff, and then, 18 years later, here you are. This is just a bunch of people. Some work for the Forest Service, some are private citizens and have never had any government affiliation, and they just love Smokey for whatever reason.
Most of the Smokey Bear collectors, are a big majority of them, want to trade. So they'll trade you something that they have duplicates of for something that you have. Some of the collectors do sell some of their stuff. Carol and I, of course, have never sold anything Smokey. We just enjoy collecting it so much, and we trade with people that have things that we would like to have, and things that we have that they'd like to have.
The Hotfoot Teddy Collectors Association was founded by Jim Van Meter, a retiree from the California Division of Forestry. And he's just a lifelong Smokey fan, just like a lot of other people out there. He could personally fill up a convention center with his collection. So when he retired, he decided to kind of pull us all together, those out in the world that are interested in Smokey Bear. There are a lot of retirees who travel the country looking for Smokey Bear items and go from office to office to office. And that's their mission in life. And they have built rooms onto their house to house these things. They've built a barn to hang all the posters. Some people specialize in collections, like they only want posters or they only want pins. And some people, obviously, like myself, go for everything.
I'm holding snuffets. They're designed for putting cigarettes out. The two smaller ones used to go on your dashboard when you had metal dashes because they have a magnet. You would take a cigarette and put it inside the back of the head and snuff your cigarette out. This is a giant snuffet. It was designed for cigarettes or cigars. It has a suction cup on the back instead of a magnet. Knickerbocker Toys made several stuffed items, including this sleeping bag for children.
This Smokey is from the Ideal Toy Company. It was the original Smokey Bear that they had made, and he has a rubber hands and feet and head. And we found him at the collector's fair, and the woman who was selling him had told us about it the month before that she was going to bring him, and we had been looking for this bear probably for about 5 years. So we were really thrilled to get him. He's in pretty good shape.
Several of the pieces here are bootleg pieces. They're not really licensed Smokey Bear memorabilia, but they're out there, and when I run across them in an antique store, they appeal to me, so I get them. You know, the Forest Service has a big licensing program, and that's the legal way to go. But, you know, there are some folks out there that choose to take another route. This is a Smokey Bear inflatable. Kind of has like a Jed Clampett look about him. But some of the Smokey things that you'll see, they don't really have really appealing faces to them, but by virtue of being Smokey, they're collectible.
This shows an unofficial use of Smokey Bear. Yumquist National Forest made this beer bottle. In here is some ceramics from the late 40s, early 50s, all the way up to 1999. These are unofficial Smokies. They don't have Smokey on the belt. They're from Japan, from the late 40s to early 50s.
The most unusual piece I have is this golf ball. It was carved by a guy that was on a wildfire. The top part is kind of peeled like an orange, and then the inside is carved out to be Smokey, so I had never seen such a thing before.
This is a pre-Smokey blotter from the Forest Service, and it's before 1944, but it didn't have a date on it, but I thought it was interesting. And that was with Hitler and Tojo, and said, "Our carelessness, their secret weapon." So that was from before Smokey also, during the war. And this is a pre-Smokey bookmark when they borrowed Bambi from Walt Disney, and they have Thumper and Flower there. And that was the year before they decided to use the bear and call him Smokey.
This is my collection of Dr. Edwin Smith memorabilia. He's Smokey's veterinarian from 1950 when he treated the bear cub. This little magazine right here came out in May 22nd, 1950, and he treated the cub on May 8th, like a couple weeks before. And Groucho Marx is on the cover, and it was just a little magazine that talked about the news of the day. And this is the first place that this photo was ever published. And Dr. Smith's family had 2 of these, and they gave me one. So this is a huge treasure to have this in the collection.
I'm going to show you one of the 2 thermos-type lunch boxes that were made. This one's made of vinyl. Has Smokey artwork all around it. But on the inside it also has the thermos. And this is our collection of Woodsy. He's cute, he's fun, but a lot of collectors don't like him because he's not Smokey the Bear. Before video games, there used to be pinball machines such as this 1950 version of the Smokey Bear game. And in here I have a Surrey pancake poster, which most people have never seen before. Sperry Pancake is part of the Betty Crocker Corporation. It was back in the 1950s. It was designed to be set up and have pancake mix recipes attached to it. You call Betty Crocker and they don't even know Sperry used to be part of the Betty Crocker Corporation. So there's a loss of history. And for your gothing enthusiasts, they even make a club cover.
And then these are the very first Smokey Bear bookmarks. And these are from 1947. And they put like a ruler on the back. And I've got every year, starting with Smokey, except 1945 and 1948. Those are the two I'm still looking for. So if you ever find them, you'll know who to call.
Collecting, it's fun. Everywhere you go, you have something to look for. So it's a dual joy for me to get to work with Smokey at work and come home and have this personal collection that really means a lot to my whole family.
Just to see a bear that is promoting fire prevention, I don't know, it just makes me happy to know that we have Smokey to encourage people in fire prevention.
I was Dr. Ed Smith. Most of the people knew me as, well, they called me Doc. Everybody called me Doc. The first time that I saw Smokey was on May the 8th of 1950. He was brought into the State Game Department pilot, Ray Bell, and the little cub was burned, so they brought him into my clinic in the box and put it on the examination table, and I opened it up, and here was this fuzzy little fella in there, and he didn't know what to do. He was so scared and all, and he'd been through so much. And so I reached over and I talked to him and picked him up out of the box and put him on the table. I said, "Okay, Smokey, let's be a nice little bear now. You come to me and we'll treat you and see what's the matter." And I kept talking to him while I treated him and cleaned him up and bandaged his front feet, and then all of his stomach was absolutely red from the heat from the tree that he was in. Well, he healed up pretty fast. In 2 weeks, why, his feet were pretty much healed up. Then his stomach, yeah. Then I had to use different types of ointment and everything else on his stomach. And his stomach healed up too, yeah. He loved to be held, and he'd always put his little paws around my neck when he would sit on my shoulder. And that always tickled me because I like to have him do that, you know. 16 years later, I went back to Washington, D.C., and here he was laying down on the floor, stretched out on the floor. He came over to the cage, and he weighed about 300 pounds in, put his paws up on the fence, and I patted him, and then he got down and started licking his paws, and everybody says, "He knows you, he knows you." And I said, I think he does. And I asked the caretaker if I could get in the cage with him, and he says, "Oh no," he says, "we can't allow that." And I said, "Well, maybe it's better off anyway, because he might just want to get up on my shoulder again. I wouldn't have much left of me." Smokey lived to be 26 years old, and that is old for a bear. They normally only live to be 22 or 23 years old. And then when he passed on, why, they put him in a wooden box and they had it iced down and all, and they shipped that box to Albuquerque, to the Forest Service in Albuquerque, and they picked him up and brought him up to Capitan, where he's now buried and has a museum there. He never one time bit me or anything, of all the times that I handled him. And so I just, he was my favorite patient, I felt.
And now for my song. It's called Smokey the Bear. With the ranger's hat and shovel and a pair of dungarees, you will find him in the forest always sniffing at the breeze. People stop and pay attention when he tells them to beware, 'cause everybody knows that he's the fire-preventing bear. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name.
You can camp upon his doorstep and he'll make you feel at home. You can run and hunt and ramble anywhere you care to roam. He will let you take his honey and pretend he's not so smart. Don't you harm the trees, for he's a ranger in his heart.
Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling
and a growling and a sniff in the air.
He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey.
That was how he got his name.
Smokey the Bear.
Take a tip from Smokey, yo, there's nothing like trees. It's cool for kids to climb in and it's fly for all to see. Yo, take a look around you and you'll find this ain't no joke. To see what you be missing, they're all went up in smoke. Woo! Smokey the Bear! Smokey the Bear! He's prowling, growling, sniffing in the air. He can find a fire, yo, before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey, yo. That's how I said that's how he got his name.
Ever seen the forest when a fire is running wild? She'll love the things within it like a mother loves her child. You know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and growling and sniffing the air. Find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. How he got his name. How he got his name.
Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name.
If Smokey Bear had a guardian angel, then his name was Rudy Wendelin. Their names are inextricably linked for the ages, and it's worked out pretty well for both of them. Rudy hailed from Kansas, born there in 1910, but made his way to art school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin after finishing a degree in architecture at the University of Kansas. After Milwaukee, he went to another art school in Washington, D.C., but then returned to the city on the lake, where in 1933 he started his long and storied career with the Forest Service as a draftsman and illustrator. He made his bones over 4 years and then made the big move to the Washington office. He took a few years off for World War II, serving in the Navy, and then went back to D.C. where he remained until his retirement in 1973. But Rudy Wendelin's service to his country did not end with his retirement, for his commitment to Smokey Bear transcended the limitations of a mere job. With the creation of the Cooperative Forest Fire Prevention Program in 1942, the Forest Service set out to involve the general public in preventing forest fires. Disney's Bambi, recently famous in the dramatic forest fire scene in the movie of the